In this tutorial, we will create a professional looking logo animation that you can use in your work using After Effects. By adding lines and light to this logo animation, we make it look more colorful, more beautiful, more vibrant. Let's get started. Let's start by creating a new composition. Let's click on the New Composition button and change the composition name to Main and create a 5-second composition of 9020 by 1080 with a black background. Let's click on the OK button. After importing the logo here, I bring it here. If the logo we bring here is larger than the workspace, let's first adjust its size. With this layer selected, I press the letter S on the keyboard and the scale feature opens. By reducing the scale property, I bring the logo to the size I want it to be. Then, I right-click on the logo and select Precompose. In this small window that opens, I change the composition name to Logo, and if you have this option selected, I select the option below. Then, I click OK. Precompose transfers the selected media to a new composition. Therefore, when we go inside this logo we have created, we can see the logo itself. But we will not edit on this logo but on the new composition we have created. We will give the effects there. So we can turn this off for now. Now I duplicate this new composition we have created by clicking on the new composition named Logo and Ctrl D. So I duplicate it and I right click on this new composition that we have duplicated and I give it a new name by selecting Precompose. We use it as an outline effect, so I give it an outline effect. I click OK. The bottom logo layer will be used to create the glowing logo and the top logo layer will be used to create the logo as an outline. We are planning to analyze in the second how the logo will be formed first with lines and then completely with light. So I come to the second and I cancel the right side of the top layer here. I grab it here and drag it to the left so that it's over the timeline, which means that from now on it will not be this object. It will be the object underneath because the space here is empty. And in the same way, I drag the bottom area to the right so that after the line is completed, the light will be shine and the logo itself will appear. I double click on the top logo outline layer and I will go to this layer. And when we get to this layer, we use an effect from the effects panel. If you don't see the effects panel here, make sure that the effects and presets option under window is checked. Or you can use the shortcut key Ctrl 5. Here I type Vegas in the search box under effects and drag Vegas over the logo layer. On the left side you will see some values. These are the values related to the Vegas effect. We start our effect by editing these values. The first thing we will do here is to adjust the image contours, the outline of the image, the control lines. I click on the arrow here and some extra options open. First of all, I choose the alpha value as channel. Just below that, I select blend mode from over the transparent. Let's scroll the screen like this. Since I want to have white lines instead of the lines here, I click on this yellow color and select the white option here. We can give a value around 1.5 for the width value just below it. I'm writing 1.5 here and as you can see, there are different segment numbers here and we reduce these values. We will make it 1. And with this value change, we can only see the outline as a gradient on the image. Here you can use the rotation value here to determine the location of the outline in the logo. For example, you can give it a movement, you can give it an animation. When we play with the rotation value like this, you can see that this part also changes. So when you give an animation like this, you can get a nice animation in another project. Now let's start creating a logo from the line. I'm taking the timeline to the far left like this. I click on the icons to the left of the length value and also the rotation value so that we give a keyframe here. And I set the length value here to 0 instead of 1. So we will try to create a logo out of nothing. If you click on the layer here and press the letter U on the keyboard, we can see the keyframes instantly. I come to the second in the timeline. I set the length value. You can set this value here or you can set it here. It is the same thing. I set the length value to 1. In this section, you can leave the rotation value wherever you want the animation to be eliminated. For example, when we play a little bit like this, I want it to end here. So in this case, when we control the timeline, we get an effect like this until here. To soften the keyframes here a bit more, you can select all the keyframes and press the F9 button from the keyboard. Thus, we will provide a smoother movement. not a linear movement. If we have completed these parts, I can close the composition here. We can go back to this composition. Now, this is the result. With a line like this, the logo is formed. Then it moves onto this. Let's make a background so that it looks better. I right click on an empty space here and under New, I select Solid. We can rename this background. I click on the OK button. I will move the background down to the bottom. We will need an effect. I want a bit of a gradient background, so I need the gradient ramp effect. I drag this over the background, and I want this gradient to start from the center and work outwards. So I need to choose radial ramp instead of the linear ramp here. Let's make this workspace a little bit smaller. I want the center to be here, and we can also adjust the width here. I want the white parts to be a dark color and the light part to be a blue color. It could be something like this, so I tried to set a color so that both the gradient in the background and the line and the logo itself would be visible. If we have made the background, we will need a lighting effect to see the entire logo in it. Let's do this using the adjustment layer. I right click on this area, New, and select the adjustment layer option. Now we need a new effect. It is called Light Burst. CC Light Burst. I take the light effect under Generate. I drag it over the adjustment layer, and when I drag it, you will immediately see a glow effect. Now with a few small adjustments, we can make the logo look better. When we look at the logo itself, we can see that we need to make some adjustments here, because there is very little light right now. I set the intensity to 150 and the ray length, which is the length of the light shining here, is set in the ray length. I make it 200. So we can see that the length of the rays is getting longer. Now we will provide this animation by giving keyframes here. Of course, we won't give keyframes here. We won't give them to these lines. So I come to the first frame of the bottom composition. That is the composition where the logo itself appears. Again, by selecting the adjustment layer here, I give keyframes to the intensity and ray length values. Now I press the letter U on the keyboard to see the keyframes here. The letter U shows the given keyframes here. I press the page up key 5 times on the keyboard. This will move the timeline 5 frames to the left. Here I set the intensity and ray length values to 0. Now with the timeline here, I click Shift page down. This will move 10 frames. And to move another 10 frames, I click Shift page down again. Here again I set the values to 0. This way a beam of light will appear in the meantime, and the logo itself will appear. Now let's render and see. Since it is a lighting, the rendering time may be longer depending on the capacity of your computer. As you can see, the logo starts to form with lines, and then the logo itself is completely determined by a beam of light. Now we make one more little touch to make this light beam look more beautiful, more professional. I select all the keyframes here, click F9 on the keyboard, and then I click on the graph editor here, and I expand it a little bit because we will do a little bit of intervention here. First of all, let's select this. I want to start this line slowly, and then I want to speed up this effect. I pull it slightly to the right here, so it starts slow and then speeds up. I do the same thing with this one, so it is a similar effect. It starts slow and then it speeds up. Let's do the same thing on this side. We move this point here like this. Let's do the same thing with the one below. I do a little screw like this, so that it starts fast and ends smoother. I close the graph editor again by clicking the same button. Now I render again and look at the result again. You can also see here how this animation looks on black by making the background layer invisible. As you can see, you can make your video look much more professional with this type of animation than just putting a simple logo. It is not very difficult to make anyway. You just need an After Effects program and a few effects. That's it for this tutorial. In this tutorial, I showed you how to animate static logos. I hope it was useful. If today's video was useful to you, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click on the subscribe button below this video. Thank you for watching.